entrance to the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul, Kapalı Çarşı. This should be the world's oldest and largest covered bazaar, and I believe there's over 60 streets with, if I remember correctly, 4,000 shops. So now we're walking in the bazaar. So there's lots of shops of like jewelry, clothes. There should be like food. There should be pretty much something of everything here. You can see also like the paintings, like the designs up on the ceiling. So I think it's pretty easy to get lost in here. We're just continuing to go straight, but there's all of these other shops. Like if you turn and you go down in there, I mean maybe you're down in here for a day. Here's some shop with some sweet stuff.
So we're here in the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul, Turkey. I mean this place is really huge. I think it's like 60 streets and some thousand shops. Don't remember exactly how many. But yeah, I think it's easy to get lost or really understand what you're doing, where you're going, what to buy, what to see. I mean, it's pretty touristy. I mean, there's literally people from all over the world we've seen. At least where we got in another entrance, there's also like metal detectors with like a police officer checking people coming in. So I think it's overall so far we think it's a pretty safe city. But we're like in the Fatih neighborhood, and usually we don't go out at night that much, so that's a whole different story. We don't know about that. But during the day, at least in the main streets, it feels safer than a lot of other European cities, considering Istanbul is like half on the European side and half on the Asian side. So obviously a lot of vendors they look like they're more busy checking their phones than trying to sell you stuff. I mean, we've been to Morocco and India. They were like a lot more aggressive in trying to sell you stuff, maybe because there's like tons of people, so they don't really care. But I would imagine that hundreds of years ago was totally different. Now it actually seems pretty touristy and pretty like fake for a lot of things, but it's still cool. It's still one of those things to see at least once in a lifetime, in my opinion. I think would be like the one in Cairo or Delhi. We haven't been in the one in Cairo, but definitely it's really something to come and see for yourself, because videos can never make up for your own personal experience. And then at least here people seem pretty cool with people going around with phones, taking pictures, making videos. So far nobody told us anything, just a couple of people, but we didn't know exactly what they were telling us. So, but generally speaking, I mean, we're walking around now with a phone and a smartphone. Obviously, I don't know if you pop out a huge camera or a huge setup, but we've seen people walking around with one of those professional cameras just like hanging around their necks and just like walking around. So I think it feels pretty safe in that regard too. So otherwise people wouldn't do that, even because I think they know the tourists bring money, and after the 2 years where the world was pretty much closed, I think they also need to revamp their economy, at least with tourism. And Istanbul is definitely one of the most visited cities in the world. So, and in the end, you know, you bring in money, you move the economy. So I think if they're smart business people, they know that, and as long as you use common sense, you should be fine. Probably the only thing that can happen, they might try to rip you off some money, but that's about it, at least in the most touristy areas. We obviously don't go around sketchy neighborhoods for no reason. So and in the end, it's such a big city that even just if you stay around the tourist area, the city center, there's like a lot of stuff to see that you wouldn't have time to really wander outside of those most known places, just because it's so like big. But obviously you can, but you know, like the city center alone and the adjacent areas alone, you could spend here like days upon days. So if you really want to, you know, explore, obviously if you want to get in churches, mosques, it takes more time. They're still restoring the Blue Mosque, we couldn't get in, but still there's a lot of stuff to see. Obviously it's like such a huge town, so definitely recommended if you like these kind of things and just walking around and exploring. There's Bitcoin here, even in Istanbul, guys. This stuff is like here to stay. It's not gonna go away. And the people who say that like crypto is fake, it's not gonna last, I don't think so. I mean, when like these big cities and big countries start to use this new technology, it's not gonna go away. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. And this is just like Istanbul, just outside of the Grand Bazaar, so it's a pretty central area. So Stacy, what do you think of the Grand Bazaar here in Istanbul so far?
So, I mean, I think it's definitely something that if you're in Istanbul, you should come and have a look. There's a lot of different things that you can see. It's like the largest and oldest covered mall. It's kind of like a big
in the world
shopping
or
mall
in Istanbul?
In the world, I believe. So it's like a big shopping mall, and if you like shopping and you like to see different kinds of wares.
So I guess you didn't like this one.
For me personally, I'm not so much attracted to like a lot of material things. So
Apart from food and money.
But we'll be going over to the Spice Bazaar a little later, and we'll see what that one has to offer. So we're leaving the Grand Bazaar and we're heading over to the Spice Bazaar. We stopped and got some street food. There was like the corn on the cob that they had for 20 lira, and they had this they had like this Turkish bread with like different spreads that you could get on there, and those were also 20 lira, so it's like €1. Now that we had something to eat, we're going over to the Spice Bazaar. We left the Grand Bazaar and we're heading over to the Spice Bazaar. We're on the tram. We have this Istanbul card, 50 lira, and then you can like put whatever money you want on it, and it's supposed to be a little cheaper for trips. You can use it for all. You can use it for the tram, the buses, the subway, and it should be a little cheaper than buying just single tickets. So we're coming now to the Spice Bazaar. In fact, we're close. You can see like all the shops here in front of me, and you can also like smell already like a ton of spices in the air.
So we are now in the Spice Bazaar, and Stacy is like way happier, right Stacy? Because you like spices and vegetables and flowers and all the kind
Like
of
spices.
all this kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
You're a hobbit.
Quite possibly, yes.
So we are here at the entrance of the Misir Çarşısı. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's like the entrance of the Egyptian bazaar. Here we're still like on the European side here in Istanbul. There's like a mosque in front of me. I'm not sure which one is it. And behind there, I don't know if you can see it from here, there's like the Galata Tower, that direction, and here is the Bosphorus. So now we get into this maze of spices and see what we can find.
So you can see they pretty much have the same stuff that was in the Grand Bazaar, but it's like more specific just to like sweet treats and different spices and dried fruits. But the prices are quite high here. They have dried fruits here is like 17-20 Turkish lira for 1 kilo, and that's actually more expensive than what we were paying in Italy for dried fruits. I think in the supermarket it would actually be cheaper to buy some of this stuff. It's relatively smaller compared to the Grand Bazaar, but we're just going through looking at some of the prices here, and obviously the difference between the Grand Bazaar is like this is more concentrated to like dried fruits and spices and nuts and sweet things, as you can see. But noticing the prices, I noticed that there was dates behind me that the guy was selling for 480 Turkish lira a kilo. And after I put it into the conversion, it came up to like 22 euros a kilo, which is way more than what we actually pay in Europe. It's way more than we were paying in Italy. And then the next sign next to that had other dried fruits like papaya and pineapple and mango and kiwi. And he was selling it for 1720 Turkish lira a kilo, which is the equivalent of like 80 euro a kilo. So the prices are actually higher here than what we are getting in Europe. The prices of what we have found so far are pretty expensive. So maybe that's why it seems like there's less people here. I don't know, but yeah, just to make note. So they have a lot of different teas and things here. Tea for immune system, tea for digestion. You can see here chamomile, stomach tea. But from what I've noticed, the prices are just way too high here. Actually, in most supermarkets, you can get the same stuff, which costs way less. And honestly, you'd probably even get this stuff on Amazon for cheaper at this point. I hate to say it, but unfortunately, it's like that sometimes. But I mean, it's definitely like something cool to come see. And then, once you're like in this environment, you're like, all the smells and the sights and everything. So it's definitely an experience. And if you come here once, they have like definitely a lot of different like things. Like obviously to like buy it here is like more like of an experience. So we came outside now. We just turned the corner and we noticed that there's all these shops outside. And it seems like what the shops outside have like half the price of what the shops inside have. So, and it seems like there's more like local people here. So we went ahead and got some dates that were outside. Here they were 165 Turkish lira, and inside they were 480. So it's like almost half price. We got half a kilo for like 80 Turkish lira. And so that's about 7 or 8 euro a kilo. So that's a little bit more acceptable.
So folks, we've been to two bazaars here in Istanbul, the Spice Bazaar and the Grand Bazaar. Honestly, personally, neither of them really impressed me that much. Both felt like a really tourist place and outrageous prices. Then they always have their little scam tactics that always turn me off. Like for example, we asked for a tea and the price was 10 Turkish lira. The guy made the tea and then he said, well, it's 30 for two people when it actually should be 20. And he told me, yeah, but this is the big tea and the big tea is 15. But he didn't explain me that there's a difference between small and big. I just asked for tea, so I usually should get either the cheapest or the first on the list, which was tea, or at least you have to explain me the difference. So what are you gonna do now? For 50 cents you say, okay bro, because they don't care. There's millions of people coming here every day and every year, but obviously people who do that probably they have the same attitude in life for anything that they do, and it's bad for them. It's not good to do this thing because it just means that you're like a poor person inside. And this happens everywhere, obviously not here, only here in Istanbul. It happens in Italy, where I'm from, happens everywhere. And these kinds of people are to despise everywhere because it makes no sense, that's not cool. And obviously there's honest, and these honest people everywhere are like in these places for whatever reason. You always have to expect stuff like that. And luckily for us, you know, 10, 15, 20 Turkish lira is not a big difference, like 50 cents or €1, but still, it's like the concept. And obviously there's also like honest people, and obviously. But so far, these places seem like really touristy. It's nothing interesting, honestly. It's like, you know, walking through an airport, shopping mall. I don't know, maybe for us because, you know, we lived in Italy, so it's a Mediterranean country. We lived a while in Berlin, so if you come from a bigger city in Europe, like, you know, Berlin, London, Rome, Milan, Paris, you know, you're not gonna pay, you know, 60, 80 euros a kilo for dates or spices because you can buy it at home. So I can understand maybe people from other countries is like something they've never seen before, but for us, honestly, I'm not gonna pay like, you know, 80 euros a kilo or 60 euros a kilo for dates when I probably can go to the same supermarket here in Istanbul, you know, like neighborhood, and pay like half or like 1/3. So I think this place you pretty much should expect like to find same stuff that probably you can find at the airport. So personally, I mean, I wasn't here 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but what I've read, the place was a little different, more like maybe authentic, and definitely compared to, for example, the Medina in Marrakesh or the Bazaar in New Delhi where we've been. I mean, people there are way more aggressive, but the places seem way more authentic also. So I guess it's like you take one, you lose the other kind of thing. But yeah, so far, at least for us, like the experience here in Bazaar in Istanbul hasn't been that great.
So if you come to Istanbul, it's like useless having a car because, I mean, it seems the traffic is like all the time like this. Like when we got in the other day, we were in traffic like 2 hours probably. So it's just always just stuff like this. Now we're going to see the Galat Tower. So you can like, when you're standing on this bridge, you can like feel it like trembling or like shaking, like as all the traffic passes, like with the tram and all the traffic, like literally shakes under your feet. And then looking down at the waterways, like the sea, you can see it's pretty trafficked. Like there's a lot of, like one after another is like a boat that passes under.
So now we're here walking like on the Galata bridge that connects the neighborhood, I think, of Balat Fener with Beyoğlu, something like that. And traffic as usual. So we just got out of the Spice Bazaar, which honestly was a little disappointing, but that's cool. And now we're like taking another walk and explore a different neighborhood. We'll see how it goes.
So now you can see we're in the area of Beyoğlu. This is where the Galata Tower is. There's maybe less like mosques here, and it's more of like maybe more younger people, more hipster area. It's maybe like a newer area. In fact, if you look at like some of the food menus, they're already like advertising vegetarian, vegan. So we're gonna follow this street and then go to the Galata Tower and see what we can find.
We're now walking towards the Galata Tower. If we get like the right way, we asked. It's kind of uphill, so it's a nice walk uphill. We'll see how long it takes to go up there. Galata Kulesi. So I guess we're on the right way. A lot of tourists here, so we're part of them. One big family of lost tourists. Okay, so this is like Taksim Square here in Istanbul, around 4 in the afternoon, end of April 2023. And just like police officer with like a assault rifle or something. Yeah, it seems pretty safe here during the day. At night there's some like movida going on, that's what they say, but yeah, it's pretty walkable city. So far nobody bothered us, and I've seen nobody bothers anyone, at least during the day. I don't know about evening and night because we don't go out that much after dark, so far during the day I would say it's a pretty safe city, like safer than a lot of other places we've been during the day, including major, you know, European cities. So far so good. Okay folks, we've been like walking all day around Istanbul here. So we walked from the Spice Bazaar up to the Galata Bridge that you can see behind me somewhere there. Then we walk up to the Galata Tower. We didn't go up the tower because we needed to pay a ticket, and then there was a long line, so we didn't want to. We stopped eating at a vegan place, it's called Vegan Istanbul. Then we went up to Taksim Square, took another walk down here again, and now we're again here in Galata Bridge, and now we're crossing the bridge again, taking our tram to go back to our apartment. So far Istanbul seems pretty safe walking around during the day. We don't know during the night, but it seems pretty safe. Even like, you know, going to the bazaars, like, you know, Turks are not really aggressive sellers at all, at least what we've seen here. It's a really touristic area, so pretty much nobody bothers you. I mean, there's really literally people from all over the world, so it seems really safe so far, so that's good.